stars. It is I, Tanya, here at House of Tanya, the Magic Castle. Holiday time is here. We have had an incredible holiday weekend, and I hope you have as well. The news cycle never sleeps. Not Mr. John Bolton telling The Guardian in an interview that Donald Trump's act is old and tired and that the Republican Party, the GOP, is looking for a fresh face. The successful governor, Ron DeSantis, would be an example, right? Ron DeSantis, like Ron Reagan. I get it. I get the branding, but I feel like there might be some trouble in the what you call Oppo research department when it comes to Ron DeSantis. There was that stunt sending those immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. Shout out to the Vineyard if you've ever been there. It's lovely. And then I feel like there was something else. I think Andrew Gillum may be filing a lawsuit to sue because Trump pulled some strings and may have allegedly handed that gubernatorial election in Florida to Ron DeSantis. Am I making this up in my mind? What do you think? It's something that I've read in passing, and I feel like sometimes these discussions kind of pop up and get lost. You know, certainly we were hearing about the role of Ginny Thomas in the January 6th events a long time ago, right? We were hearing about, you know, her family background and her marriage to Clarence Thomas, and then it went quiet, and then it sort of bubbled up again. So I feel like this set of stories about Ron DeSantis may be delved into more deeply and may get more traction as we, you know, move through the election cycle. But first, let's talk about this makeup look. It's not complicated. You know, we started off the day feeling this Hustle Gang sweatshirt that we have with Miss Marilyn Monroe on it. We went in with some very simple but experimental products. First, we moisturized and we got on a little bit of this Jason Vitamin E skin oil. It helps fight lines and wrinkles. You know, one thing that causes lines and wrinkles is when, you know, anonymous haters get on our social media and try to start ish. We also tried this Olay Serum's Refreshing B3 and Sake Kasu. It's like a stick serum, right? So it's not a liquid. It's like a little pink, almost like a roll-on, right? It smells super. It smells so clean and fresh. It comes with its own little lid that I keep putting on the wrong way, just to keep the product moist and fresh in its little tube. But, you know, again, we're trying to go through our entire stash and use up everything we've accumulated. This rose water setting spray from Smoke and Mirrors. We shook it, we sprayed our face, and then we went in with this delightful CoverGirl and Olay Simply Ageless Hyaluronic Complex and Vitamin C 3-in-1 foundation in medium beige. And I felt like it was a bit pale for me. I have bright lights on my face, but I think you can see a little contrast between my face and neck. It's not that bad. We did put on some blush, I believe. Certainly looks like we put on blush, but we definitely got into this Morphe Ready Set Gold palette. We had gone in with this Milani eyeshadow primer, and then we set it with the palest shade in that palette. We went through our crease with a kind of orangey brown, and then we kissed just the outer corner with a darker brown and used the darkest brown to make an inner and outer corner wing on each side. Nothing in the brows. Lips were, again, this suspicious shade of German artistry pencil in what you call barely brown, and it's not a brown. On me, it reads like a kind of reddish rust. But then on top of that, we hit it with the Maybelline Superstay ink crayon in the shade Lead the Way. Now, I'm not sure, but this may be a color that's supposedly a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, like a bluish pink. And then we mixed that together, and I think we added a little bit of gloss, nothing crazy, just this chapstick, Total Hydration Vitamin Enriched Lip Oil, which I'm loving in the flavor rather than color. Sweet Nectar. Travels well, seals up nice and tight, doesn't create a mess in your bag or your pocket. But, you know, that's where we are. We're not even powdered. We're not even wearing a concealer, right? But we could, since we have your attention, we could go in with a little bit of, bronzer, because we did get this Avani Gregg and Morphe Vacation Luminous Bronzer in the shade Hawaii. I can't remember, but I think Bali may be the darkest shade, right? Then there is a very pale shade, but I believe that Hawaii is the middle shade, and that might be best for us. So in the spirit of experimenting, we could take this angled double-ended brush. I'm not sure where this brush came from, but it's very handy. I never end up using the other end. I'm not sure, maybe you could like place blush on the apples of the cheeks, but I'm having trouble remembering what blush, if any, did I use. Not sure, but in any case, we're going to get in there with this bronzer. So, you know, I hope you've been keeping abreast of the news. Look how beautiful. Slightly luminous. And this was part of this collection that Miss Avani Gregg, who is I believe she's a mixed race black woman from somewhere like the Midwest. And she's very beautiful and she has a palette, and then that palette includes some cake liners that you wet and sort of stroke with your brush to create more colorful lines than these. But if we just kiss this brush into this bronzer, what we're trying to do is just compensate for how pale this shade is and add some tones that marry it back into the shade that our actual skin and our neck are, right? Our neck and our hands. Hands get it from being, you know, on the steering wheel and out in public. Neck gets it, but then we go in with base products that make us look super pale. But I do enjoy this foundation. It's a 3-in-1 foundation that instantly reduces the appearance of wrinkles, improves tone, delivers firming moisture. It makes your face feel moist, and it doesn't look crazy dry on. But again, just kissing into this bronzer and looking at the perimeter of the face. This nice product comes with its own mirror, but you know, light is fading because you know, I started my social media journey early and just trying to go in a traditional 3 shape, right? Just so that this shows up on the face. Oh, you can hear the crazy traffic outside. And just blend that into the hairline, right? So that over here, we have some darkness that creates a little bit of a cluster, like a little hold around this very, it's not a crazy pale foundation, but it's just a little bit too pale for us. I'm sure I picked the best shade that I could find in terms of undertone, right? I can get away with a neutral. I can get away with a yellow undertone, but sometimes pink undertones are just a little bit, it's a little bit too much. Too much. But you know, there's been some exciting times over there on TikTok. I've certainly learned a great deal, you know, about the dating game and about, you know, just some different things going on in the world as the January 6th type folks kind of, you know, they're still getting whipped up. They're still quite radicalized. They're still wanting to do something, quote, to take their country back. And, you know, that makes it somewhat of a dangerous time for folks. Now, we're going to risk it all and take the corner of this brush and see if we can do some kind of sculpt on our nose. Now, we're using our front camera, and that makes our nose look absolutely flat. But when I look into the mirror, I can actually see the structure of my nose. So using a very light hand just to, you know, privilege the upper plane of the nose, right? Maybe draw a little line across the top where we scratched our nose, I think in our sleep. And then using a teeny bit on the bottom. Now this is a warm shade. It does have a lot of color payoff. And this is how people end up with what? A brown nose. So people can say they're a brown noser. I think it's much safer to use non-warm tones for nose contour, right? In a pinch, it's better than nothing, right? If we use this insane kabuki brush, which is a nice looking brush, it's a little bit rough. I think we can kind of use a light hand just to buff and stroke and hopefully make these tones look more natural and kind of fade them down to an extent. I was feeling jiggy. I put on my silver gangster chain, which I, you know, wear when I'm cast as a gang member on a police procedural. But just trying to fade that out so it doesn't look like dots of orange. We can even just try to finesse our shadow so that the naive person would see these tones on our face and not be super distracted by the fact that it's makeup, right? You want the gesture, you want the sculpt, you want the color, but you don't want to be like super clockable, like, oh, look at Tanya, she's a try-hard, right? You're going for a more natural take on your makeup, right? And this is no mascara, no brow product, just a little bit of powder shadow as an eyeliner. And I'm always stunned at the staying power, right? Just like I'm stunned at Donald Trump's commitment to staying in the game. Multiple indictments aren't slowing him down. I heard that he and the family just made deals to build golf courses in Saudi Arabia. Now, what role did those purloined documents play in Saudi Arabia's willingness to bankroll and continue bankrolling members of the Trump family, either by blood or by marriage? Open question, right? I can remember being a kind of private party casino dealer here in Los Angeles and listening to, you know, young children who were, you know, having bar mitzvah celebrations talk very animatedly about, you know, their support, their family's support for Trump and his candidacy for president. But I have to wonder, you know, intelligence reports are suggesting that some of that secret information that was taken from government possession into Donald Trump's private possession may have gone walkabout. There are certainly infiltrations that went on at Mar-a-Lago with certain people from a couple of other nations. There certainly was an opportunity to share and display. I wonder if it's time to wash these brushes. To share and display this, you know, secret information, top secret information. Top secret clearance was required, but certainly not achieved. And I think we all remember the moment when Jared Kushner had been denied top secret clearance, and somehow through his father-in-law's intervention, that was finessed. So, you know, listen, some people say America is a corporation, and certainly some of these business blended with government behaviors suggest less interest in, you know, ethics and justice than in, oh my God, my skin is peeling. This is the desert, if you didn't know. You know, there have been some rules that have been, people have been playing fast and loose with. I am curious to see where all of this goes. I just keep running up on all these gift cards. I have to figure out, do they have any value on them? And if they don't, I should get rid of them. But, you know, I always appreciate time off from work. Time off paid is always A1 blessing. And, you know, you want to spend your time and your energy, you know, getting better, getting happier, getting more organized, getting more informed, right? Going to places where you feel like you're finding information and analysis that is of value, because, you know, things are critical. Things are critical with the healthcare situation, the economic situation, the public safety situation, the mental health situation, and it cannot be denied. Let's take a little moment out to remember our friend, you know, Miss Robinson, who her friends, is it Chandrella? She was targeted by her so-called friends in Mexico, in Cabo, on a vacation that, you know, allegedly she paid for most of it. But, you know, it's often the people closest to you who will betray your trust. And not just betray your trust and argue with you or insult you, but imagine fellow adults who actually want to throw hands like it's some reality show. And you can talk to me about the legacy of American chattel slavery until the cows come home, but that's in the past. Some little bug has been flying around and bothering me all day. Stop ruining my video. Damn you. You had every opportunity to run away and be free, but you just had to keep coming where I am. Maybe because maybe these are the only lights on in the apartment. But I want to remind everyone, whether it's, you know, family member, friend, acquaintance, coworker, snakes move sideways. They want to play the role. They want to play the propriety. If you actually look at what they do, it is less about being a straightforward, supportive family friend, girlfriend person than it is about playing that role so that they can steal things. Allegedly, $10,000 or $17,000 in cash was taken from the alleged murder victim, and, you know, her credit cards were used for the alleged perps to fly back to the States. There's at least one extradition order or arrest warrant. I'm not sure. I have to catch up. But, you know, again, just like we elect an American president and expect him to do right, just like we befriend or have, you know, siblings or relatives and we expect them to do right, there's a lot of people who go through life and all they want to do is do wrong. And if they can get their hands on you, they will do anything they can get away with. And are you going to allow that? Or are you going to, you know, take steps? Whatever those steps are, right? It's always so tempting. A little got to be glued, maybe get this on a finger. I did watch a tutorial where a woman just got it on her finger and groomed her brows and brushed them a little bit. So not being super aggressive and using a lot of product, but just trying to think about the concept of enough product, right? What is enough of a response to people who want to humiliate and commit crimes against you, right? They really, really want to take your focus off of, you know, your achievements, your business, your progress, right? Just like some of this irresponsible political behavior. It's a distraction, right? So just making sure this is stroked all the way through the brows, kind of messing them up just to make sure all the hairs are coated, right? Our regular brow is fine, but since we have cleaned our brushes, right? We have these little brush combs that come in sets, and, you know, you just want to keep them clean and orderly. But then once your brow product is in, you can comb the brows up, brush them if you prefer, but just making sure they're nice and lifted. I do have to find my NYX Lift and Snatch pen because I have learned from some tutorials that might be the best product for drawing hair-like strokes. We certainly have a substantial amount of brow hair, but you know, we're wanting to not necessarily turn heads, but you know, my brow real estate is definitely an asset. It makes me look different than the other people at work. So then just turning to the brush side to brush through as the got to be glued dries down, right? I am also a fan of the e.l.f. brow. I want to call it brow freeze. I don't think that's the name of it, but I'm a fan of that. Do you hear that music outside? All right. To the naked eye, does it appear that my brows are missing anything? You know, that they don't have the lift, that there's bare patches where we could draw things in. The one thing I do like to do is extend the tail of my brow because I think it just makes them look more supreme, more regal, right? So when I pass by a 4K or HD camera, these brows are saying hello, hello. You know, I might have some sparseness here. I'll have to find one of those brow pens and get busy. A couple of my brow pens or pencils from Daiso had dried out, right? We have this is actually La Fermier. It's one of the yogurt containers, and I just washed it out and just use it so I can have a tiny supply of water handy here in the beauty corner, so that if there's anything to be done with a little bit of moisture reactivating our got to be, then we can do that without hopping up and leaving our live to get it done. But yeah, you know, people are outside, they're trying to travel back for the holiday, and it's hectic, and then you have people, you know, freaking out and acting up, right? Just like they're acting out in politics, just like there's a bunch of people saying a lot of dangerous stuff on TikTok, and their accounts are being, you know, ferreted out by responsible members of TikTok. But, you know, let's just be careful. It's that time of year where people want to act up and they want to have their way, and justice goes out the window, right? It's a cash grab. It's a whatever they can get their hands on grab. And, you know, just like these people who took advantage of their so-called friend in Mexico, they're just trying to, you know, figure out what they can get their little grubby paws on. They're not afraid to put hands on other people. And then they want to cry victim, right? I ran across a really interesting video that had an acronym for what it is. It's like people will be aggressive, play victim, and then try to, you know, manipulate some advantage. You know, one of the problem people, you know, if they were above board, they wouldn't need fake identities. If they were above board, they wouldn't have to lie and tell weird stories. You know, there's one of the problem people at work who, you know, was always trying to triangulate and whip up a bunch of attention and, you know, play victim and take all sorts of unfair advantage of people who were willing to help her. Finally eased her out the door, but there's been some new drama, right? We'll see where it goes, but I'm glad that drama is now on the outside, not the inside. And the day when Donald Trump and his entourage and supporters, the MAGA wing, just like the Tea Party, this may be the time when they're all running out of steam. It would be great if they could go quietly, right? Take the money you grifted and get gone, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. Some people are predicting that the MAGA wing even if they don't get the Republican nomination, will hang on. Do you think they're going to pull a Ross Perot out of resentment of Ron DeSantis, out of resentment of the Republican Party, effectively splitting the conservative vote to bring, Joe Biden to a second term? I think that's all quite possible, right? I think Donald Trump, in my opinion, is looking for the protection of presidential politics to keep him out of jail. But I have a great amount of respect and anticipation for this new DOJ fella, and I'll look into it and I'll make a separate post about that, because the rule of law is important. There's a margin of action that I don't think Merrick Garland is afraid of, and I think his name is Jack Smith, this new prosecutor who is an espionage prosecutor. I hope I got his name right, but I'll look into it and I'll circle back to you. This is Tanya at House of Tanya. Hustle gang. We never stop hustling. We never stop going live. We never stop producing content for you, thinking about these issues, thinking about politics, narcissism, beauty, hair, makeup, jewelry, fashion, merch, all of it for you. I was thinking to myself, I should start making some playlists for some of my favorite characters on television and maybe do some reviews. Would you like that? Please let me know. The chat is quiet. I know that some people are traveling for the holiday and may not be home yet. I got a few messages earlier today, but I certainly appreciate you taking the time to have a gander and think about these issues that I've raised, these controversies. I would love to see your thoughts in the comments. And, if you have subjects or disagreements or topics or makeups or candies or anything else that you would like me to try here on the House of Tanya channel, please do not be shy about letting me know. Rest in peace, Chandrella Robinson. I believe that's her name, and I hope justice is served. And it gives everyone something to think about. When you think about people in your life or people in your work life who resent you, who really, really get irrational about it, it's not your imagination. And there are steps that you can take to stay safe and handle it. Sometimes you can use friends and allies in a very, very good and supportive way. The collective endeavor, the onward and upward crowd, the rising tide lifts all boats crowd, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be in the corner, hating with the haters. And, as you think about, this next year of life, this new season of political, economic, and social change, certainly we have a lot of really strong examples of leadership, of thought, of fairness, of, clear next steps, at the same time as we're dealing with the mystery of what some people are calling a triple or quadruple epidemic, different things this fall. Hospitalization rates, especially among children, are scary in the United States. I wonder if we need a little blush, or if this kind of orangey bronzer is okay. I just recommend that everyone stay on top of the information, at least have an idea. Try to keep healthy. Try to minimize your contact with people who are dangerous. In these streets, people freaking out at the airport, throwing up Nazi salutes and insulting people based on their, race, ethnicity, religion. It's out of order. I don't know how you can call yourself a Christian when you're behaving so irrationally and so dangerously. I get it that people have ends in mind that they want to achieve, and they don't care if those ends are just or fair. They just want their way, right? Just like people who are creeps and criminals and commit SA and theft and harassment and all that stuff. They're no good and they're up to no good. But, you know, there's always I think a majority of people who don't seek to follow their darker instincts and are not going to lay down for nonsense, right? Justice prevails in the end, and the vast majority of people are, you know, normal and trying to do right. And it's important that, you know, we are able to provide a substantial counterpoint to, you know, these other darker forces. But in any case, that's me being thoughtful on a Sunday. It's not that late. I managed to get in here and do a live for you, the people, and I invite you to join me next time for a different makeup look. But what's heartening is that you can do enough, not too much, but enough to kind of achieve a level of glamour and a level of self-care that can be hopefully instructive to other people. You don't have to harm your lashes to thicken your lash line. You don't have to get a tattoo on your lips to, you know, have some, you know, pretty sexy color on there. And if you're mindful about applying effort, you can achieve, whether that's your social media or your writing career or your acting career or your relationships and your family relationships, you know, like action, reaction. So I invite you to get busy and get better. And I will see you next time here. Magic Castle, the Sky Cabana, you know what it is. House of Tanya. Until next time, peace out.